Hi everyone, my name is Elizabeth, this is Frizzy Lizzie Stitches, and this is episode number 66. Hi everyone! Today is October the 4th, 2024. It's my favorite month of the year. And actually, Bobby and I are going to be celebrating 1 year of marriage on Monday, the 7th. So anyway, it's been 3 weeks since my last video, and it feels like it's been a lot longer than that because I actually went out of town last weekend and I didn't really do, well, I didn't do any stitching, but I had done a ton of stitching before then, so I have a lot to show you today, even though this feels like I've done this so long ago. So when I was making my notes, I actually like kind of had a moment where I was like, wait, did I already talk about this? Maybe not. So anyway, I have several, mostly cross stitch, and then I do have 2 knitting projects, and then I'll just have my normal, I do have some haul that's knitting related and stationery related, and then we'll talk plans, what I've been up to, things I've been, like media I've been consuming, and things like that. So let's just get into my cross stitch whips. Alright, so the very first one that I have to show you is actually, I guess, like a start and finish since my last video, and that is the Lizzie Kate seasonal smalls. And so this one is autumn, and so I stitched this, I think I started it like after I filmed my video 3 weeks ago, and then it took me 2 days to stitch it up. I stitched it on 32 count vintage country mocha linen 2/2, and I used a color and cotton conversion that I put together myself, which looks like this. I do have a photo of like all the floss names and stuff on my Instagram, so if you want to know what I used, go check that out. The cover, like the picture is of this pattern, and then if you swipe, you'll see the photo of all the floss names. So yeah, anyway, this was so much fun to stitch, and I just think it's so cute. I actually pulled out my other ones that I've done so far. So here's summer, and here's spring. So I have one more left, obviously, and my plan is to stitch that one in December, since December is the month of the first day of winter. I won't necessarily start it on the first day of winter, maybe before that, but here's all the seasons I have so far. I do plan to finish these into little pillows, but I am not going to do that until I finish stitching the winter one. So, and then I'll just have a finishing party. Okay, next up is going to be Reflections of New Orleans by Ink Circles, and it looks like this. And then this is what it would have looked like in my last video. I have a monthly goal on this because it is a Christmas gift, so trying to be diligent with that. And this is what mine looks like. So I think I was almost done with my goal in my last video. I made a note on here that I stitched it before and after filming that day, so I made a note of what I did before and after. But anyway, I did like 400 plus stitches on it after I filmed last, and that rounded up my goal for my monthly goal for September. So I need to pull this out for October and keep trucking along. So I have October and then November, and then this will be done at the end of November. Oh, and I didn't even mention, this is 32 count. I think I lost, oh, I just felt it on my foot. Last time, I think in my last video, I lost the needle, and then I stepped on it when I found it. Anyway, it's 36 count Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers linen in the color I Lilac You a Lot, and then the floss that I'm using is a Dinky Dye Silk in the color Aussie Gold, and I'm using 2 strands over 2. So anyway, loving how that's coming along. Can't wait to stitch on that again. It's really fun to stitch, especially with how I've broken it up, because it's not getting boring with all the repetition of the pattern since it is a mandala. But yeah. Next up is Positivity Lifts by Caterpillar Cross Stitch. This is what it's going to look like. And this is what it looked like last time I showed it to you. And it looks like I stitched 1,428 stitches on this since my last video. So this is what mine looks like now. I'm not sure, I think I finished the word gratitude and maybe put A and G in Imagine and did all the fill-in on Focus. I'm not quite sure. You'll know because I will have put a picture up, but this is 18 count Ada from Fiber on Whim, and it's kind of washed out because of the sun. It is a very, very light green color, and it's from Fiber on Whim called Color Happens. And then I'm using all the called for DMC for this chart. And then I've mentioned in previous videos, but I did like alter the design for this. It's supposed to be a hot air balloon shape, but I did kind of cut out the bottom to kind of make it look like a circle so that number one, it's less stitching, and number two, it'll be easier for me to finish because I can either put it in a circle frame or finish it in a hoop. So that's my plan with that one. I'm on track. I have that one split up into monthly goals as well, and I think that one will be finished in December. So hopefully I can keep that up. Next up is, what is this called? I'm Just Ken by me. And this is a design that I designed last summer after the Barbie movie came out. And so this is what it's gonna look like. And then this is what it would have looked like last time I showed you. And then I got a decent amount of progress on this as well. I did 1,573 stitches. And let's see. This is what it looks like. Oh, it looks so good. The fabric is 32 count Lugana from Picture This Plus called Mercedes. And I'm using DMC. And I made a ton of progress on this. Before, I think it just said I'm, and then I might have had the G started, and then a little bit of his head and like his shoulder area, but I finished the words great and at. I filled in like half the surfboard, and then I started working on a shirt and his arm. So yeah. I think in my last video I showed the Barbie fabric fat quarter bundle that I bought. So I'm just really excited to get this done so that I can make that project keeper. I have this split up into monthly stitching goals to finish it in December. So, and I'm on track. And I already started working on it for October, which was me filling in some of this surfboard last night. But yeah, that's what that one's looking like. Okay, last but certainly not least is Greenhouse of Oddities by Lola Cross Stitch. This is what it's gonna look like, and this is what it would have looked like last time I showed it to you, which I think might have been like earlier this year, or maybe not at all. I can't really recall. I think it was earlier this year, like maybe February or so. But anyway, this is what it looks like now. It's still in the Q-snap because I was working on this before I left town, and I want to finish out the goal I made for myself before I put it away. But I was able to put in 753 stitches, and I think I have like 500 something stitches left to get this project to 50%. So I want to do that before I put it away. And then I have a plan to pull it out in December just to get some progress in, but this will not be finished this year just because there's so much stitching left to do. But I finished up this corpse flower, and then I finished the Little Venus fly traps, and then I started on this woman. She has a name. She's like a scientist or something, but I forgot who it is. Anyway, I'm saving all the backstitch for the end, minus I already did the backstitch for the owl, but I definitely think, like, so when I did Daily Aquarium, I did the backstitch as the sections were coming out, and that honestly is way better than just saving it all to the end. But with Haunted Library and this one, I did not do any of the backstitch as the sections were coming out. So I debated like doing the backstitch as I go on this one, but it's just kind of complicated because I have it in Pattern Keeper and Pattern Keeper doesn't show the backstitch, and so I'm not doing it section by section anymore because the whole thing's released. So I'll just save it to the end and like make myself a checklist so I don't forget anything. But anyway, that's how that's looking. This fabric is 36 count linen by Fox and Rabbit called Oyster Shell. And I'm stitching everything 2/2 with DMC, as per usual. Yeah, so that's how that's looking. That's all my cross stitch for this update, and now I'm gonna move into knitting. I will show my Musselburgh hat first. So this is a pattern by Ysolda Teague, and I am knitting this hat for myself. This yarn is called Down on the Farm by Big Sky Yarn Company, and I think it's like a 75/25 merino nylon. And then this little like electric yellow stitch marker is where I was in my last video, so I've gotten about 2 inches or so more length to go, or length added to my hat. I do need to measure this ball of yarn because I think last time I checked it, it was like 67 grams, and I want to get it to like 55 grams before I mark the center of my hat, so that I can finish the hat and not run out of yarn. And then I also, you know, want to be able to fold up the brim and have like it be like a little extra room in there, just because that's how I made Bobby's, and I really liked the way that it fit me and it fit him really well. So I was just going to copy the exact same thing I did for his for myself. So anyway, that's what that's looking like. Not too much to look at. Oh, but I did, and I'll talk about it later, but I went to like a yarn festival with my friend Maddie of Kitty Stitch, and I did get some new stitch markers. So they came in like a rainbow pack from, what was that brand called? Blue something. Bluebird Makery. This was the tag that it was on. It's really washed out. There you go. But anyway, they had a bunch of different states. So I got Mississippi because that's where I'm from. And then it also had like a little RV camper on there. But anyway, so that was a really cute little addition to my project. And my next knitting project is a pair of socks that I'm knitting for my grandma. And I don't remember where I was in the last video because I don't really put stitch markers on these, but I did finish sock number 1, and I started sock number 2 and got all the way done with the heel flap. So I just need to do the heel turn and then pick up the gusset stitches, and then I'll be out on the foot. But here's another one of those little stitch markers. So yeah, so I'm knitting this on 9-inch circulars, but I did pull out my, I think it's a 32-inch to do the heel flap, just because I find it a little easier to do that rather than all being crammed on the tiny little 9-inch circular needles. But yeah, so I had gone out of town, and I took this with me as like my little airport, you know, traveling project. And I had finished sock number 1 like the night before, and then I literally cast this sock on at the airport and got all of this done during the trip before we got home. So I was pretty proud of myself for making all that progress. This yarn is Yoshi and Lucy. It's called Blue Footed Booby, and it's also a mix of merino and nylon. Let's see. Yeah, 75/25. That's what the little label looks like. But yeah, so anyway, super proud of that. I just need to, honestly, for me, the heel turn and the heel flap and the heel turn is like the bottleneck for me when making socks, just because I need to be a little bit more concentrated. And so I need to get this heel turn done so I can speed through the rest of the sock. And that will be really nice because that will be the first like handmade Christmas gift that I will have finished to gift this year. So anyway, that is all my knitting. All right, so I'm gonna jump over to, I think, haul next. Yeah. Okay, so I went to a fiber festival here in Ohio called Wool Gathering, and they have a bunch of yarn vendors, but then they also have like farm animals that you get all the fiber from. So they had bunnies, goats, sheep, alpaca, llama, and they also had, this one woman was there harvesting silk from silkworm cocoons. That was bizarre. I'd never seen that before. I think I took a little video, like a little bit here and there, so I'll kind of pop that up on the screen. But I did go with my friend Maddie from Kitty Stitch. I don't think we actually took a picture together, which is unfortunate, but we had a good time shopping for yarn together. And I got 2 skeins of yarn and then some other little notions. So the first one I got is from a company called Spun Right Round, and this is 100% merino wool. And I know it's not, like, 100% merino wool isn't ideal for socks, but it will either be socks or maybe another hat. We will see. But I loved it because, like, it kind of looks neutral, but it has these pops of wild color in there. So there's like some hot pink, some teal, there's a little bit of purple in here. And anyway, I just thought it was really pretty and I loved it. So that's what that looks like. And then the other skein of yarn that I got is actually like a new fiber for me. It's the BFL, which is blue-faced Leicester, I think is how it's pronounced. But basically the fibers are a lot longer than merino, so more ideal for socks because then they're not going to wear and tear, or they'll wear and tear. They're going to be more sturdy, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. But anyway, this is from Aisling Yarns, and I don't know if this has a color name. Oh, Hurry Sundown is this color, and then Storm is this color. So anyway, my friend Maddie got some of this last year when we went, and she said it's her favorite pair of socks and what she reaches for the most, so I figured I'd give it a shot. And I think this might actually be the same color that she got, just like a little bit different of a dye, because I think this one ended up being a little bit more vibrant. But it's a very like deserty sunset color, and it's really pretty. So the next things I got at the festival were those Mississippi State needle markers, stitch markers. And then I also, they had, where did it go? I think it's in here. There it is. They had like a little candy machine that you like put a quarter in, and I guess a gumball machine. And anyway, they had like the little balls in there, and then inside each of these was a stitch marker. So Maddie had 2 quarters, and so she kindly gave me one so I could use it. But anyway, the little stitch marker that I got it's like a little pink leaf shape. But anyway, that was really fun. Kind of wish I had more quarters because I probably would have done more. But and then there's this brand called Camp Stitchwood, and they have these little, they're called Pearl Scout merit badges. And I think, I haven't looked it up, but the shop owner was saying that this designer has a design where you can knit your own little sash. But anyway, they're little Girl Scout badges for knitting. So this one says Speckle Enthusiast, and this one says Team Top Down for socks. So anyway, these are super cute. I'm gonna add them to my little retreat bag, and I just think it's precious. Okay, so my other haul is stationery, which I know is not something I always talk about on here, but before cross stitch, I was a super planner bullet journal girly, and I still kind of am, but not as much as I used to be. So anyway, while we were out of town, one of the malls we went to had a Daiso, which is a like Japanese convenience store, and I was like, we need to go in here because I'm pretty sure they're gonna have some washi tape, because I love washi tape. And so anyway, sure enough, I was right, and they did have several washi tapes, and it was like very affordable, so I got quite a lot. The first ones I got were these Disney ones. which are kind of hard to see, but this one's like yellow and has the Fab Five on it, so it's like Mickey, Donald, Daisy, Minnie Mouse, Pluto, etc. And then this one is blue and has Winnie the Pooh on it. And then this one is just a floral design with little Minnie Mouse scattered throughout. I want to see if maybe I put those 3 in my planner. I'm going to see if I can try to show those to you. Okay, I don't think it matters if you see my to-do list because it's really lame. But anyway, there's the washi tapes on the paper so you can see them a little better. But anyway, I hadn't swatched the other tapes yet, so I won't be able to show that to you, but that's okay. I got this pack of 10 skinny tapes that are all like a pastel rainbow. And then I got these floral ones, which you can kind of see what they look like on the side here. And then I got a couple Hello Kitty ones. And the background of these, like that's what the tape looks like, and it's in there. But I got that one, and I got this one. So anyway, very excited. I love washi tape. So any excuse for me to get some, I'm gonna take it. And then I also got these really cute cat stickers. Cause I'm a cat lady for sure. Well, I love Wilson, obviously, but. And then I got these, they're just, it's like a little journal of these memo tabs, and they have, but they look like tickets. And they're perforated, both here and at the spine. So you could like write whatever you want on there and tear it out. And I just thought that would be so cute for journaling about like going to see a movie or something. You could like write the movie title and whatever else you wanted to on there and then paste it in. So that was super cute, and I ended up with that as well. And then I also got some candy. I had ordered from some store on like Etsy or something, and she had included a Coca-Cola flavored Hi Chew, which is like a Hi Chew is like a, I don't know, it's kind of like Laffy Taffy, I guess, but it's like, or maybe more like a Starburst. But anyway, they usually come in fruity flavors, but I had never seen the Coca-Cola one, and I'd never seen them in the store either, and so I found them at this Daiso. So I got the it's a soda pop pack, so it has the cola flavor and I think a Ramoon soda. I've never had that, so we'll see how that tastes. And then I also had never seen this one before. It's just a berry mix, but I think they're like creamy on the outside. But anyway, excited to have some candy. But that was all of my haul in the past 3 weeks. Okay, I'm gonna touch on plans for a hot second. Nothing has really changed from what I've mentioned in my last several videos. I do have like a bunch of monthly goals planned out for myself so that I can get some more projects finished before the end of the year. But I have started thinking about what I want to do for 2025, which might seem really early, but I just really like planning, so it's fun for me. So anyway, I really love WhipGo, but I only lasted like 2 or maybe 3 months this year before I quit because it just wasn't quite working for me the way I wanted it to. So, but I still like the idea of like having a game board situation. So I basically came up with like this thing for myself, and I'm calling it my Sweet 16. And basically it's just a 4x4 grid where you can lay out whatever like 16 goals for the year. My initial intent was that they would be like 16 things you want to finish, but when I started putting in my projects, I realized that there's really just too much stitching to do to finish 16 projects. So I made some more realistic goals based on how much I'm able to accomplish basically in a month, because that's easy for me to kind of plan out the year. But I also like wanted to make sure that I wasn't putting too much stitching plans in there, because obviously I don't want to plan my entire stitchy stuff for next year. Like I want to have some flexibility to start stuff. Or, you know, work on projects that I didn't say I was going to work on and things like that. But anyway, so I've picked 16 goals for next year. A couple of them are to finish projects. A couple of them are to start and finish projects. Most of them are to get some of my larger projects to 25%. And some of them I'm planning to do certain times of the year because they're seasonal, but then others I plan to just roll a die to determine what to work on that month. So anyway, I haven't gotten to use it yet, so I don't know how well it's gonna work, but I was inspired by WhipGo because you have the board, but for me, like, WhipGo, Jessie Marie does stuff, she pulls the numbers, and then you have to work on, I say have to because you can do whatever you want in the end, but she'll pick 2 numbers and that's the project you work on. But oftentimes a project will get picked that I don't want to work on. So for this, like, if I roll the dice and I don't want to work on that project, I'll just roll again, you know? And I know, like, with WhipGo, like, you could just, you know, move your projects around to accommodate whatever she picks, but the other part about it is 25, like, because a bingo board is a 5x5, so you have basically 24 goals with a free space, but that is just a lot more than I can handle in a year. So by doing a 4x4 grid, that cuts out, wow, what, 8 projects that I would need to pick. So it just makes it smaller, a little more digestible for me. But anyway, that's what I plan to do for next year. We'll see how it goes. And that's kind of it for plans. All right, so we'll get into what I've been up to. I think probably the weekend right after I filmed was the wool gathering. So I did that with Maddie, and that was really fun. They also have ice cream there, so Bobby and I got some ice cream, and that's pretty much all we did that weekend. And then Bobby was out of town for a little bit because he had to go to a conference. So I kind of had to take care of the house and the animals all by myself, which was fine because I actually used that time to rewatch Haunting of Hill House, which I'll talk about into reading and planning, I guess, or reading and watching and stuff. And then we had some praying mantises on our door, and I think this is just kind of a fun story. So for a couple weeks we would go outside and there would be a praying mantis on our door, but there was also a praying mantis on our neighbor's door, and one of them was brown and one of them was green, and the brown one was always on our door and the green one was always on the neighbor's door. Well, one day I opened the door and both of the praying mantises are on our door. I'll put a picture up. And so then Bobby and I were just like, you know, we're always looking for the praying mantis because we're so used to seeing it. And then it was late at night. Bobby and I had just gotten done watching like Yellowstone or something. And Bobby took Wilson outside and he knocked the praying mantis was on the door handle, but he didn't know it. And so when he turned to like shut the door behind him, he actually like knocked the praying mantis on the ground. And so when he came back in, he told me, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, don't hurt it. And so like we went outside to go check on it. And cause at this point it's like on our doorstep. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, like I think you like, you know, tore its leg or something, cause it like looked like something was not right. But then Bobby like kind of coaxed it to the flower bed cause we didn't want it to get stepped on. And while he was doing that, he realized that the praying mantis was fine, but there was actually a praying mantis on its back. And so we're pretty sure that we caught the praying mantises doing their thing. And in the middle of that, if you don't know, a lot of female insects are very, really just badass, to be short with it. But praying mantises are known to eat the head of the male praying mantises, and that is what happened. I mean, we didn't witness it actually happening, but like there was definitely a headless praying mantis on top of another praying mantis. So anyway, it's kind of a crazy story. And then I hadn't seen our little lady since, so I think she went off to go lay her cocoon or whatever they make somewhere else, or her praying mantis pod, I think that's what they're called. But anyway, so just a funny little National Geographic story for you, I suppose. And then let's see what else. We went to see Bobby's family in Texas, and that was this past weekend. And it was a really good time. His grandparents were celebrating 66 years of marriage, so we went out for a big family dinner and several people like came into town for it. And most of the people on his side of the family I met for the first time at our wedding last year, so it was nice to be able to see them again in a non-wedding setting, I guess. And we stayed with his mom the whole time, and what else? Yeah, I mean, it was a good time. Got to visit with family and whatnot. So I think I can move into reading, watching, and playing. So as I mentioned a second ago, I rewatched Haunting of Hill House. I love all of the TV shows that Mike Flanagan makes. There are 2 that I haven't seen yet, but I have seen Hill House, Bly Manor, and Midnight Mass, and I really loved all 3 of those. So I rewatched Haunting of Hill House a couple weeks ago, and it's just so good. If you haven't watched it and you don't mind spooky stuff, it's a really good one. And then I also, Bobby and I watched Amityville Horror, like from, what is it, 1979, I think. And I just thought, it's just so funny because, like, I remember that being known as, like, a very scary movie when it came out, but it was not. Like, it was just kind of silly to watch it now. So, but it was funny too, because like we looked at the ratings afterwards and it really doesn't have good ratings, because the other movie that I wanted to watch is The Exorcist, because I've never seen it, and I was worried that that was going to be similar because, you know, it's also from the 70s and the technology is just not there to be scary like it is now. But The Exorcist has way better ratings than Amityville Horror, so I'm excited to watch that at some point this month to celebrate spooky season. But yeah, and then when we went on our trip last week, I started reading a new book. I started reading The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by, I think it's V.E. Schwab, maybe. But I love it. I'm only like 20% in or so, but it's really good. I really enjoy it. It's kind of like magical realism, like not historical fiction, but like she was born like a really long time ago, like in the late 1600s, and like was a young adult in like the early 1700s, and she's basically cursed where she like has eternal life but nobody remembers who she is, so hence the invisible life, because people forget her as soon as they are not looking at her or interacting with her anymore. But yeah, it's been a really good book. I'm really excited to keep reading it, and I think that might be it. Yeah, that's kind of all the like media and stuff that I've been consuming. I don't know. There is a new Zelda game called, I think, Echoes of Wisdom, and you actually get to play as Zelda, and I'm really excited for that. It came out, I think, last weekend, but I'm probably gonna, that'll probably be like a Christmas birthday gift later this year, but when I do get it, I'm gonna be very excited to play it. Oh, and then Stardew Valley, they came out with an update for PC, because that's what its main system is to play the game, but you can also play it on console like my Switch, and they just announced that the update that came out on the PC several months ago is now going to be available for Switch in November. So I'm also very excited to play the new update, because they added like more crops and they added a new farm layout and stuff like that, so lots of exciting things. I think that's all I have to share with you today. I'm gonna keep doing all the things, and I will keep you updated on what I do over the next 3 weeks. I hope you have a great day, night, evening, wherever you are, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!